At its best, the struggle for salvation in the medieval church, at best, was that God freely provided grace at baptism and freely provided grace through the sacramental system, and grace was sort of infused power to do what God commands. And Luther was just rigorously honest, trying to fulfill God's law, and in doing that, there was a high road and a low road. The low road was the peasantry, and he had come from peasant stock. The high road was to become a member of one of the religious orders. And so he departed from his father's plan for him, going to law school, sold his law books, and appeared at the door of the Augustinian monastery in order to go the rigorous route, which wouldn't assure you of being saved, but your chances were better. And he was just following the counsel of the church of his day. If you really want to be more sure than you are, then become a member of one of the orders. Understandable. The idea was that with the grace given to you through the sacramental system, you were enabled to meet the rigorous demands of God's law, and Luther believed everything the church taught him. He couldn't imagine that the church wasn't teaching a true gospel. That came later. But the idea was that with the grace given to you, you were enabled to fulfill the law. And so he said later on, my problem wasn't that I was a bad monk. My problem was I was a really good one. And if you ask anybody, they'll tell you so. So if the command was to go without sleep for an hour given night, he would go without for 2. If the prayer was so to be such and such long, he doubled it. He would sleep without blankets on what we would call a concrete floor, ruined his joints, ruined his gastrointestinal tract by fasting, tried to overdo it in order to find peace of soul, and discovered that no matter how much he did, it didn't bring peace of soul. And then they made one of the stupidest decisions in the history of Western Christianity. They said, let's make a professor of Bible out of him. And so the church said that, and Luther saluted. He said, okay, I'll do that then, if that's what you'd like me to do. And started prepping and working on primarily the Psalms, and next the book of Romans. Said he hated the word righteousness, despised it, didn't want to hear it, because as he understood it, it was the righteousness in God that we had to measure up to. And then in his working with Romans, down into the Greek, and the turn came when he said, I discovered in the text that when it speaks of righteousness, God gives what he demands in Jesus Christ. So that the turn, the axis, the shift, was seeing righteousness as something God granted for free on the basis of Christ's work. It was no longer just demand, it was free gift.